what are the things you could do in an environment where, or public healthcare workers, what are the things you could do? Well, the first instinct is, how could you replicate, can you clone the doctors? So one thought about, in fact, our first instinct was, are there kiosk systems, computerized public health, could we computerize the public healthcare worker for basic check-in procedures, basic adherence protocols with medications, which is a lot of what public healthcare workers do. They make sure people are taking their pills. They adhere to their regimen of medications. Could you offer a computer tool in a clinic where someone could walk in and instead of talking to a nurse who could deal with higher order situations, have that basic transactional thing happen between a patient and a machine, a little bit like the way in which we think about bank tellers and ATMs, right? This was, can you create an ATM for HIV? And we thought the answer was, initially was yes. We actually went so far as to license some of the very best software code that's been developed at a separate university in Connecticut, University of Connecticut's program, that replicates these interventions and delivers them on computer. We licensed all the intellectual property for Africa, actually, to deploy this, before it became very clear that there wasn't anything like an IT department in any of the hospitals. There was no resource to maintain these systems when they inevitably broke down, and most importantly, the penetration of laptops and computers among the general population in South Africa is a fraction of what it is in the US. And so people didn't have normative behaviors around computers. They didn't have really in-depth experience with them and regular experience with them. So our first instinct was the wrong one.
So when Andrew and Krista and Zinni came to us, they had already kind of latched onto a concept that, again, you know, could fit somewhere still, I think, in the ecosystem of solutions, but it was starting in a particular place. They were looking at the just incredible lack of resources, right, in clinics, and the challenge people had with having any privacy as they accessed information, the long wait times, and they were trying to figure out how to address that. And they had heard about a solution that was more PC-based. It was really, I mean, you could call it a kiosk, but it could have taken many forms, right? But at the end of the day, it was some kind of terminal that would allow you to directly access coaching and feedback within that environment. And, you know, we hadn't really yet been down to South Africa, to that environment, and we didn't really know enough yet on our own to say whether that was a good idea or not. It wasn't a complete solution, that was for sure. And we knew that.
We actually went fairly far down a path of looking at this piece of technology, and in fact even working on an all Africa license to use this as an open source type piece of intellectual property, I guess you'd call it. And we presented this at PopTech in 2007. Krista and Zinni came. They talked about the situation of HIV and AIDS and gave somewhat of an update from the prior year. And then we unveiled this thing. And the response of the audience, which was about 600 people, was actually palpable. It was kind of like a simultaneous, oh. And I can remember very distinctly one of the faculty members from the fellows program was sitting next to me, and he leaned over and he said, "What in the hell is that? Are you kidding me? That is so wrong." And you know, you could feel yourself sort of sinking into the chair and wishing there was a trapdoor that you could just simply fall through. You know, there's nothing worse than failing in public. And it was immediately known that it was a failure, a wrong path.